Oh, this is the one right here. This is the one right here that we have all been waiting on. At least the one I've been waiting for. And that is Mike Bloomberg, Mr. Stop and Frisk Bloomberg, dropping out of the race and ending his presidential campaign. Wasn't it he that said he was going to try to go all the way? Listen, we knew that wasn't going to happen. And I should have saw this coming because I saw a tweet on my page. I think it was Jason Black who put it out there, who said that Michael Bloomberg shelled out $500 million in his campaign only to end up in third and fourth place. Like, he never touched second, nor did he ever touch first. And basically, because of how poorly he did with Super Tuesday, that's why he dropped out of the race. Like I said, this was the one right here that out of all of them that I could not wait to see in their run. Don't get it twisted. I'm glad the other ones fell off too, but it was this one right here. This one right here for me was like the Trojan horse. And I'm so glad his little run has come to an end. I'm going to go ahead and read this article that just came to my phone from Yahoo. Former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg, a centrist billionaire who launched a White House bid after years of flirting with a run and pledged to use his vast resources to unite Democrats and moderate Republicans against President Donald Trump, has suspended his campaign. What I really think it was is I think Mike Bloomberg was trying to be the Democratic version of Donald Trump. Side note, back in 1998, Donald Trump actually admitted that he was a Democrat. Now let's get back into it. His campaign was shaken by former Vice President Joe Biden's resurgence and overwhelming victory in the South Carolina primary, which reignited his campaign and led other moderate campaigns to drop out of the race and endorse him in an effort to consolidate the primary vote and prevent Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders from clinching the party's nomination. 3 months ago, I entered the race for president to defeat Donald Trump. Today, I am leaving the race for the same reason, to defeat Donald Trump, because it is clear to me that staying in would make achieving that goal more difficult. Okay. So exactly where are you supposed to be defeating him exactly if you're not in the race? Are you going to endorse someone? Like, for me, someone out there explain to me, does that statement make any sense? He says he entered the race to defeat Donald Trump and he has decided to end his run today for the same reason, and that's to defeat Donald Trump. Like, that doesn't sound or make any sense to me whatsoever. But okay, maybe he knows something I don't. Despite ruling out a White House run last spring, he reversed course in the fall and entered the race just before Thanksgiving, offering himself as a pragmatic problem solver with unlimited resources who could appeal to the middle of the country alienated by Trump and leading progressives at a moment when former Vice President Joe Biden faced questions about the strength of his campaign. Bloomberg's campaign surged after Biden's disastrous fourth-place finish in the Iowa caucuses, impressing voters and Democratic officials with the size and scale of his operation despite skipping the first 4 early primary contests and seizing on concerns that Sanders' nominations could endanger down-ballot Democrats across the country this fall. Defeating Trump and rebuilding America is the most urgent and most important fight of our lives, and I'm going all in, Bloomberg said on his website at the time. In the first 100 days of his campaign, Bloomberg spent more than $500 million of his estimated $60 billion fortune on his campaign, flooding airways around the country with ads, opening hundreds of offices around the country, and hiring more than 2,100 people to his team, building an operation from scratch that resembled a general election operation more than a primary campaign. His was a novel gambit, throwing out the traditional primary rulebook altogether by passing the 4 early states altogether and focusing on a delegate-rich Super Tuesday spice like Texas, California, and Florida. Moreover, he specifically honed in on the swing states President Donald Trump picked up in 2016 that Democrats should have won, like Ohio or Michigan. Bloomberg's energetic efforts at outreach demonstrate an immense appetite for seeking voters where they live and showing his commitment, especially visiting those areas off the beaten campaign trail during the early primary stages as other candidates campaign in Iowa. With a weather eye towards March, Bloomberg was already all over the map. Moreover, he swiftly assembled a formidable ground game, field staff swelling to over 2,043 states and territories, including all Super Tuesday states, more than 400 in their headquarters. Some of these candidates criticized me for spending a lot of money, Bloomberg said at a December stump stump stop in Ohio. I think you want me to spend less to get rid of Donald Trump? I don't think so. Well, that came back and bit him in the ass because he spent all that money for nothing. Bloomberg's campaign has said it will spend whatever it takes to remove Trump from office. He has left open the possibility that he could eventually put as much as $1 billion into the race, even if it's not his to run, pledging to keep his operation open even if he's not the nominee to help whoever he does eventually win. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders said he would refuse Bloomberg's help to win the nomination. Senator Pocahontas Warren, though she said she'd accept Bloomberg's aid, also did not hold back, in turns accusing him of buying his way into the election and that he was skipping the democracy part of the primary. He faced sharp rebuke from rivals who criticized his large ad buys and campaign strategy. Despite slick commercials that portray Bloomberg as an effective and decisive manager who built New York City after the September 11th terror attacks, Bloomberg, an uneven debater and retail politician, never recovered from a poor showing in his first primary debate. When he struggled to respond to attacks about his past as a Republican, his wealth, and a series of non-disclosure agreements related to alleged comments toward women at his company, along with the controversial stop and frisk policing tactics used in the city during his tenure. Just before announcing his 2020 bid, Bloomberg made a very public apology for his support of stop and frisk and continued to do so over the course of his campaign, touring through black and brown communities, meeting with leaders, and rolling out several criminal justice and economic policies specifically geared toward lifting up those communities most hurt by such divisive issues. See, he tried to throw a band-aid over a flesh wound and it didn't work. And that's one of the reasons why he's out. Black people who lived in New York at that time will never forget what he did. That still has a long-lasting effect to this day. His past treatment of women in his employ, as well as this culture at his company, has faced intense scrutiny. ABC News' breaking investigation in December explored the repeated occasions where Bloomberg had faced and fought allegations that he directed crude and sexist comments to women in his office, including a claim in the 1990s that he told an employee who had just announced she was pregnant to kill it. Bloomberg has repeatedly denied making these and other comments. The non-disclosure agreements he has kept with many of his employees keep any of those on the receiving end of these comments from sharing their side. On the debate stage, Warren tore into Bloomberg, demanding, as she had told ABC News for months, that he release the women from their secrecy agreements. For his part, Bloomberg just days later announced that he would release 3 of those signatories from their agreement. Well, that's the end of his little run right there. And that last part that I was reading, that was basically his controversial part, is heavily part why he was not going to get in. Like I said, and the thing is, he did try to buy his way into the presidency. He did, no doubt about it, because he thought he could flaunt his money. Like I said, he was trying to be the Democratic version of 45, or that was what he was trying to do. And he says, I will spend whatever it takes to get rid of Trump. And when I think of what he said, get rid of 45, that could almost be taken as another way if you dig a little bit deeper into that terminology, but I'm not going to say it on here. I'm sure y'all can use your imagination and know exactly what I mean when I say that. But this is the end. Speaking of this is the end, that reminds me of that song by New Edition. Is this the end? Maybe that should be his theme song, since he wants to cozy up the black people so much now. He can use that as his walking away song. Finally is all I have to say when it comes to Mike Bloomberg. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter if you haven't done so already. Have your notifications turned on, and I will talk to you in the next one.